Beis Amar Aleph sagt der Heilige Mishnah noch einmal. Chavila Yigash Chavila Eitach Zeradim, bundles of straw wood and zeradim, which are grapevines. But v'kulin sheitiran, if you untie them, it's ksherais, and v'kulin ksherais l'tefanis. Okay, can use bundles in tzchach. Why can you not use bundles in tzchach? The $1 million question. Says the Heilige Gemara. Amar Rabbi Yankiv, Shemas Mina, the Rav Yechon Tarti. Says Rav Yaakov, I heard from Rav Yechon two things. Chadaha, one is the din in our Mishnah. The Chada, the Idach, and the other din is, if you're a chaytit begadish, if you chisel through, you dig out a gadish, a haystack, lastly slow yisukkah to create a sukkah, a nice sukkah. Two dinim. One din, you can't use bundles for schach. Second din, you can't chisel out a haystack for a sukkah. And says Rabbi Yaakov, Chad Mishum Gzeras Aiser. One is because of a Gezerah Derabbanan that we're afraid you're going to make your sukkah inside an Aiser. V'chad Mishum, and one is because of Tasav Lo Min Asli. But says Rabbi Yaakov, and again we remind ourselves, Gemara for hundreds of years was not written down, and therefore it was Talmud Mei Rebbe. So Rav Yaakov was telling over that I remember from Rav Yochanan two things, and I remember there are two reasons. I just don't remember which is which. You know, halavai that the Talmidim should remember the din and this, and just not know which is which, you know?
What's the Gzeir of the Eitzer?
Oh, what is Gzeir's Eitzer? Let's speak it out again. Gzeir's Eitzer is that classically you would store bundles and different things just to dry. And then you would say, hey, you know what? Let me use this as a sukkah. I have walls. I have something growing on top. But it's not created l'shem sukkah. So they made a gezerah that if you were allowed to use something, we'll see in a moment, gezerah's eitzer, they're going to come to go into your eitzer, into your storehouse on sukkah. So we have these two din, and we don't know which is which. Says the Gemara, and after we see which is which, it'll be much easier to understand. Amar Rav Yirmiyah gesundheit nechsi anan. Says Rav Yirmiyah, I'll prove to you. Amar Rav Chia barabba, Amar Rav Yechanan. What's the reason why we said Zeradim ein misachem b'hem? Why not? Because if you come home late at night, come home and what are you holding in your shoulder? Obviously your bundle of straw, your bundle of wood, and whatnot. In your bundles, in your shoulder. So what do you do with your bundle? You go ma'aleh and you lift it up, raise it ma'aleh up, umanicha, and you place it al gabi sukkah asay, on top of your sukkah, but not on your sukkah for sukkahs. Stop on an enclosure. It's middle of the summer right now. It's June. And you come home with your bundle. You want to eat supper. What do you do with it? You take it and you dump it on top of your enclosure. To dry out. And then, 2 months later, you're like, hey, look at that, sukkah. V'nimlach allow, and you change your mind, the sikach, to use it as chach. So what's the problem? The Hatayra Amr says the Torah ta'aseh. I don't have a picture. You have to create the sukkah. Also, it can't be made on its own. And therefore, it's possible.
Kavana won't help here because now that's there. Okay, now I'm gonna keep it there.
No, so what would help? The only thing that would help was one of two things, like we learned prior. Ksisa, according to one sheet, cutting it would help, but here there's nothing to cut. Or lifting it up would help, shaking it.
Or
shaking it.
Time when you put it up.
Or a time when you put it up, if you had das. Very good, very good. Even though it's more than Shleishim Yayim, if you put it up l'shem sukkis, that would work as well. So what do we see? So now, this is the point that's one drop confusing. If I were to ask you, so why are the bundles not allowed to be placed as chach? You would think, wait, the Gemara just said because of Tasav Lo Min Asi. That's incorrect. Tasav Lo Min Asi is in this case, there was Tasav Lo Min Asi. You're not allowed to use bundles, even in a case where it's not Tasav Lo Min Asi. Meaning, let's say Erev Sukkot, you take a bundle and you put it on top of your sukkah. It's still possible. Why? Gezeras Eitzer. Because of that case of the Eitzer that you stored your bundles, because of that we make a gezerah that you never could use bundles even when you have kavanah. So says the Gemara, midah, this case is what? Mishum gezeras Eitzer.
No gezeras Eitzer is also gezeras Tasav.
Exactly. That's the difficult point.
It's just one step further.
Exactly. Very good. In the case, let's speak it out again, Nachmal, very good. When I come home holding my bundle and I put it up, and then 2 months later I decide to use it as my sukkah, why is it possible right now? Tasav Lo Min Asi. Because of that, Chazal said you can never use bundles even when it is kosher, meaning it's not Tasav Lo Min Asi, it's done for the sukkah. It's still no good gezerah dera banan. Very good. Says the Gemara. So midaham misham gzeres eitzer. So now the case of the bundles is gzeres eitzer. The case of these chiseling out the haystack on the last narrow line is misham taseh v'loy min ha asli. So now we know which is which. Concludes the Gemara of Rav Yaakov. Rav Yaakov, who was the one that started off the Gemara, he was the one that he said over these two dinim from Rav Yechon, and he didn't know which is which. Hach, to Rav Chia bar Abba, this case of Rav Chia bar Abba is loy shmi alei. He didn't hear this case. This case of the guy coming home from the field and bringing the bundles, putting it on top of the schach, and then eventually changing his mind. Rav Yaakov didn't know that. So because Rav Yaakov didn't know that, therefore, he didn't know which was which. But now that we know Rav Chia bar Abba, therefore we know that the reason why our Mishnah is possible is Gzeirus Eitzer, and the reason why chiseling out a haystack is possible is Taseh V'loi Min Ha'asui. Amar Rav Ashi, Givaldik. Says the Gemara in the first white line, Atu Chavile Kash V'Chavile Yetzim Mishum Gzeirus Eitzer. Ika, are you telling me, and this is really the sort of the impetus that everyone, the what was bothering everyone. Are you telling me that the issue in the Mishnah is because of Gzeirus Eitzer, Mishum Tasav Loy Min Asui, Leka? What do you mean? As you pointed out so eloquently, it's both. So you're telling me one is Tasav Min Asui, one is Gzeirus Eitzer. It's not true. They're both Tasav Min Asui, and now there's an additional issue in the Mishnah because of Gzeiras Eitzer. And furthermore, the flip side, v'chaytit begadish, when you dig out a haystack, misham tasav l'min asa ika, misham Gzeiras Eitzer, misham Gzeiras Eitzer, leka, it's the same kasha. Misham Gzeiras Eitzer leka, it's the same problem. Now what's the problem? So we look at Rashi for a moment. Rashi, 4 lines from the bottom of the Amid, explains.
It's not a gzera.
Good. Very good. So let's look at Rashi. Rashi addresses, I believe Rashi addresses, if I remember correctly what you're saying. Mi loy matzinon lemeimar, nami. Can we not say also, da'afilu sasara kol kalabei maila, v'ne'ena amorin, and you shook the hay, shalaschach, v'chazer v'niach l'shaim sukkah, and you put it down the shem sukkah, meaning, if you take your haystack, you chisel out the inside, you make your igloo, but then you say, wait, it has to be made l'shem sukkah. So what do? You cut off the top haystack branches, you lift them up, and you put it back down. So you would tell me, okay, Givaldik, it's a good sukkah. No, says the Gemara's kasha, still, kabasali mastis and midrabanan. It should still be possible. Why? Mishum gzeira tzayitzer. What's the gzeira? Tizemnin, because other times delay minaneya v'nasem eleihem k'tigaam, just like we said, gabe chavilim, by the bundles. The apostles lahu, that it's possible. Afilu menichav sham this shame slach. It's possible midrabanan mishum gezeira. What's the gezeira? These are the critical words in Rashi. Dechol yemois hashana la'itzer. It's a gezeira. Then you might do it wrong. It's a little bit of a borrowed term here, Gzeiras Eitzer. Not really an Eitzer because it's a haystack, but it's because during the year you might end up creating this. So Gezeira, even if you didn't. So asks the Gemara, you're telling me one is Gzeiras Eitzer, one is Tasel Min Asui. Says, well, really, they're both the same. They have the same issues that they're not made for the Sukkah. Elamai, you make it for the Sukkah. No, the Rabbanan say it's possible. Why? Because we might create and to put it into simple English, anytime we have a concern that you might create this not for sukkahs, that's Gzeiras Eitzer. Gzeiras Eitzer in its pure form means that you're going to go take your Eitzer, take your storehouse, and use it for your sukkah. But in the very broad form, which is the Gemara's kasha, really Gzeiras Eitzer just means anything that you might make on January. If there's a type of structure that I might build today, so now when it comes sukkahs, even if I build it for sukkahs, I'm going to say Gezeira, it's possible. Why? Because maybe I'm going to do it not for Sukkot. That's the Gemara's kasha. For Rav Yochanan Amar Lacha. So what does Rav Yochanan answer?
Eitzer is only by the case of bundles.
So that's what again.
You chisel out, you go down, there's nothing there before.
So that's what Rashi was bothered by this question. That's why Rashi went to length to explain that really you're right. And really, if you chiseled out the haystack and then you picked up the things and you put it back down, be'etzem, it's kosher. Why is it kosher? Because you created a whole sukkah. It says Rashi, because a haystack is an entity that you might have in January, that you might have in June, not for a sukkah, so therefore the same gezerah should apply. Now you're right, it's not really the same exact gezerah, but the same style gezerah. You might have a haystack lying around and drying out, so the same style gezerah should apply. That's the kasha of the Gemara. So what's the problem? The problem is Rav Yochanan clearly disagreed. Because Rav Yochanan said what? Rav Yochanan said that one is Gzeres Haitzer and one is Hasol Menasui. So what are we going to do with Rav Yochanan? Rav Yochanan Amar Lecha. Hacha. Says Rav Yochanan, it's false. Hacha in our Mishnah Dikatani. What was the words in our Mishnah? Let's go back. Look at the Mishnah. Chavile Kash, Chavile Eitim, Chavile Zradin. Ein Misachachin Bahem. That's the act of putting on the schach. What do those words mean? Ein misach. Don't do it. Those are words of lechatchilahu. Those are words of lechatchilah. Don't use bundles for a schach. And we turn over to Yud Beis and Yud Beis. The ein misachin. What's that again? So in our Mishnah says Rav Yochanan, the word shows you that it's a din lechatchilah. Why lechatchilah should you not do it? Mishum gzeres eitzer. Din derabanan. Ha de'araisa shapir dami. If you ask me, Rabbi, can I eat treif? I don't tell you, you shouldn't do it. No, it's treif. If you ask me, do I put on tefillin? It's not. If you want, you could. Or, Rabbi, can I put on, I'm trying to think of a better example. Can I put on, what's something that you can't do? Can I put a tefillin? Well, tefillin on Shabbos. Let's just pretend tefillin on Shabbos. Oh yeah, so it's ulcer, perfect. Can I put a cream on Shabbos? Can I do things that are ulcer on Shabbos? I'll tell you, you shouldn't. What do you mean you shouldn't? It's ulcer. Meaning, the fact that the Mishnah said over here didn't say it's ulcer. It says, ein misachin, don't do it. That means that be'etzem, in the purest form, it's okay. D'oraisa, spitz. Oh, ki'ilu. Now, chumr is a little bit more, meaning it's a derabanan. Derabanan said, don't do it. That's the wording. So because it's a derabanan, explains Rav Yochanan, what must the derabanan be? A gezerah. Gezerah derabanan is, for example, really you should daven. You should daven Ma'ariv at you should daven Ma'ariv at your first available opportunity. Why? Because you're going to end up forgetting, right? If you shouldn't sit down to meal. These are derabanans as fences and safeguards to prevent you from doing something else. But what that means is that in the world of be'etzem, theoretically, in the perfect world of the Torah, it's mutter. Just the Rabbanan said, stay far away. That's all, right? All the Rabbanans. What are the Rabbanans? The Rabbanans are siyagim, are fences, are safeguards. Don't do this because of this. The whole, many things. Good. So says Rav Yochanan, that's who he saw in the word of the Mishnah of Ein Misachik, and he saw that it's a din derabanan. It's a gezerah. Whereas Hasam, by the haystack, what were the words of the Brisa? Tikatani, if we look back, what were the words? Look back right at the beginning of the Gemara Naman Aleph. You dig out a haystack to create a sukkah. Einoi sukkah. Einoi sukkah is not a din derabanan. Einoi sukkah is midaraisa. What is this? It's not a sukkah. What does not a sukkah mean? Einoi sukkah afelu b'diavad. Midaraisa nami einoi sukkah. Why? Because of tasav lo min asli. So what the Gemara is really answering is very, very interesting. The Gemara is answering, really? It's true. Both cases could apply to each other. And you're right. Really, we could have said the case of the haystack is also derabanan. And we could have said the case of the Mishnah is also deraisa. But because the word of the... I said it wrong? Good? Because, you know what I'm saying? Because of the words... I'm not even trying to figure it out, because whatever you try to figure it backwards. Because the words of the Mishnah indicate derabanan. The words of the Brisa indicate deraisa. That's why Rabbi Yochanan said it. Even though in the world of Svara, they both could apply to each other.
I mean, but it makes sense, right? One of them is simple. One of them is because there's nothing inherently wrong with the sukkah with the bundles. Just as Xer, you'll do something else. Chayt Begadich is something inherently wrong with what you did. It's not a Xer.
No. in reality, you're right. So what was the kasha of the Gemara? The kasha was, but we also could shtup it. No, you're right. If it's better this way. I'm asking.
You're saying that there is a case
right.
where
Exactly.
the others could come out.
Right, exactly. But in this case, in a normal case, it's a deraisa. Right. So we say the deraisa. That's what Yechlan saying. Right. Very good. Yeah.
To explain what
in a No, but what comes out, l'chayra, is if I were to ask you, if you dig out a haystack, why is it puzzle? It's puzzle deraisa, finished. And if I ask you, putting on the bundles, it's derabanan. Now, what if? Yeah, if you did it the other way. So in the Mishnah, it's clear. If you did it, midaraisa it's kosher. Midarabanan it's possible. Either way,
you know what a good example would be? The good example would be, let's say someone blows shayt for Rosh Hashanah, right? Again, are you supposed to? No, you're not supposed to.
Saying Shabbos.
On Shabbos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that you're not supposed to, right? Are you yotze the din of shayt for Rosh Hashanah if you do it on Shabbos? Yes, you are, because Lemaisa you were allowed to. The problem is...
Sure, it's not so pasha what you're saying. Yeah. In a chanami. Yeah, I understand your example. No, it's not so pasha because sometimes the Rabbanan are mafkiya, the deraisa. In a chanami.
That's why I said
in a chanami. Yeah, in a chanami. But yeah, very good. That's the Gemara. That's the Gemara. What is it? No, Muksar Ban. It's Grada, it's Gzeir David HaMelech, and it's Kinyan Succah. But Maisa, we paskin. No. We paskin Muksar Derabanan. We'll stop over here, hopefully for Ma'ariv. Hopefully for plates, or else there's a ton of challenge that I'm not sure what we're going to do with.
When my 3-year-old and 6-year-old